Welcome to the last call, where we try to clear up many of the misinformation concerning the drone community.
Well, good evening, everyone. Glad everyone who could make it who's still here. Appreciate it. As always, this is Dre with Recovery One Drones. And we're going to talk about some safety and common sense issues tonight, along with a few other housekeeping situations that are occurring. But as with always, we want to make sure that we give a shout out to our sponsor, which is Air Data. So we want to make sure we take care of some of that housekeeping right now. Hang on.
Last call is sponsored by Air Data, world's most trusted flight data platform. Use promo code Recovery1Drone20 for 20% discount on your subscription.
Okay. Glad to see some folks here. We got Margie TV in the house. Mudball, not Mudbone, but Mudball Don is in the house. Maybe, I don't know. Last time he told me what he did, and I felt kind of silly, but that's okay, Don. That's okay. Up from great up north, I think we got drone shots. Stephen Drones down into the Temecula area. Who else we got in the house? And a few other folks who are lurking behind the scenes. And welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you who decide to drop in. Some of you who have been paying attention to what's going on where I'm from in Southern California will know that we have had a couple of wildfires that have taken place here in Southern California, and there's other places. I know there's wildfires up in Northern California. I'm not sure what the containment or they've been put out of yet. I think there was one on the border of Nevada and California up near Lake Tahoe. And it seems to be Colorado had a fire maybe a couple weeks back, maybe a month ago, and everything else. And it's just brought to my attention that when we have these scenarios of natural disasters, either be man-made or Mother Nature come into play, is that we seem to have, I don't want to say a rash, but it always seems to be those individuals that want to get that or get their name notoriety out there to be the first on the scene, be able to get the byline from the local news stations or whatever the case may be. And my thing is this: don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy/gal. Okay, so I don't want this to be gender specific. It could be either or. But that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is don't be that guy. One of the biggest things that has harmed the drone community, especially over the last several years, is those individuals who claim to be naive or ignorant of drone regulations and drone laws and rules and so forth, who decide to go down to Best Buy or even ones they built per se to go off and fly stadiums, concerts. Just recently we had, I think it was a rock concert, not sure what it was at, where the musicians had to be rushed off stage because there was a drone detected. And I said, this is unnecessary. People pay good money to go to concerts to enjoy themselves and everything else. And nothing worse than having an unnecessary reason for the concert to get interrupted or even cease to continue because someone felt what they want to do was more important than following the guidelines and rules and regulations. And like I say, a lot of folks, thank you, Don, it was a Green Day concert that the guys had to be rushed off stage because of a drone was being flown in the air. Now, I'm not aware if it was an enclosed stadium or outdoor stadium, the case may be, but either way, you need to have authorization from the proper authorities. Even if it's indoors, the event promoters and whoever's in charge of security need to be involved in your decision to fly a drone. And that's where we run into a lot of problems, especially in the outdoor segment. People seem to think that, oh, if the sky is open, I have the right to fly. That is about as far as from the truth as it ever can be. When you have large gatherings of individuals, you need to coordinate your efforts with the event promoter, the event organizer, the event security, and so on and so forth to ensure that whatever you're trying to do as far as with your drone, if you're hired by someone other than the event promoter, organizer, you need to get authorization to be able to have a drone flown. The general masses that are there may not even care. And you may have a sub 250 gram drone like the new Neo, whatever the case is, that enclosed props and everything else, which makes it a category, I think it's category 1 drone, will say, okay, yes, you can fly over people, but you still need to have authorizations when you're at a paid event. Okay, just because you have a drone that fits the category, that fits the FAA regulations, you still need to get in contact and get authorization from the event staff itself. You just don't have the absolute right to fly because the drone fits the parameters of the FAA. Okay. People say, well, yeah, it's got enclosed props. It can fly over people. It can do this. I say, this might be in a general population at the beach, general population, maybe at a, public venue like a beach or a large regional park area, something like that. But even then, you need to find out, are there local restrictions? As we all know that every city, state, county may have additional rules and regulations about flying a drone, especially over people or in case of event situations. So that's what this whole thing about today is, don't be that guy. Now, what I'm going to show you now, like I said, we got wildfires in my area. Okay. And when you see this map, this is off of Aloft. Those who are wondering what map I'm using, this is off of Aloft. Where the point is right here, that's my house right there. Over to the east of me is the line fire, which is in the San Bernardino National Forest. This pinked out area here is the TFR at this point. And over to the west of me is the bridge fire, which is burning the San Gabriel Mountains right here. Down to the south of me is the airport fire, which is borderlining Orange County and Riverside County. Okay, that is what I have right there. Now, for me, these fires are impacting my normal work that I have scheduled. But I made the decision, especially of the one job right here at San Bernardino Airport, I already have authorization that I'm supposed to fly right about here over a Amazon facility for a solar panel inspection. Okay, I already have authorization. All I got to do is call the tower, go from there, like I say. So I already went through the steps to get the authorization. I have the absolute, I would say, legal right to fly if I needed to. I called the client that I'm doing the work for and said, this is not a good idea. One reason is the weather. These fires have caused our weather to be overcast to a certain extent that it may affect the heat radiance of the panels. That's just the mechanics or the workflow of the job itself. But the real reason I was hesitant, that I brought to the attention of the let me bring this up to you. You guys can see it. I'm looking at it, but you're not looking at it. Here we go. That's better. All right. There we go. So you guys can see the fires. This is the line fire here. This is the bridge fire. And to the south of me is the airport fire, which borderlines Orange County and Riverside County. Sorry, I'm talking and trying to work everything at the same time. So I'm going to repeat what I just said. This is the San Bernardino International Airport, where I had a job to do a solar inspection. I called it off. As the pilot in command, I have that authority to call it off. Okay? So that's what I did. I called the flight off, one, because of the weather conditions, not because of the wind or anything, but the fires themselves cause a condition to block out the sun. So I need to make sure I'm at a certain radiance meter to get accurate readings when I do the solar inspection. Number two, the main reason I wanted to cancel this is that San Bernardino Airport is the main airport for fire support aircraft to fly in and out of. And that's why I tell people, when you have situations like fires that go on, this is what you got to be mindful. The airport itself is not in the TFR, okay? But since I know there's going to be a number of flights coming and going in and out of this airport, that is the number one reason, I should say, is why I want to cancel this job. Because I didn't want to be nowhere of interfering with flight operations. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, is flight operations. When emergency vehicles, or I should say emergency aircraft that are doing fire support efforts, they have the skies to themselves. All other commercial traffic gets diverted for that nature. And the same thing with drones. These aircraft have the whole skies to themselves. And that even means a lot of times, especially with helicopters and some of the smaller aircraft, they fly very low, coming and going. The fire may be over here in the San Gabriel Mountains, but you see that route bypasses where I live at. But I had a job here in Rialto, California, Saturday, which went right about this area here, right above the 210 freeway. I was right there flying. It was not uncommon to see an aircraft come right here, right about 500 feet. Sometimes they're right at 400 feet, flying back to the airport for refueling. And the reason for that is these guys are trying to get back and forth in the most expeditious manner possible. And also, you never know where the refueling for the retardant or even water pickups may be at in your area. Up here is one of the most common areas, is this lake right here. This is a popular, Silverwood Lake is a popular location in my area for aircraft to refuel for water drops. They come in here, scoop it up, or they suck it up with the helicopters, and they go back and forth. And that sits right between both areas. And this is in a mountain area for itself. So that's what I'm saying. This is what you got to be mindful of, that just because you may not be in the TFR itself, you may still interfere with emergency operations. And the way they look at emergency operation is, once they detect something in the airspace that's not supposed to be there, all flight support operations cease until the airspace is deemed clear and safe. And this is what I'm talking about. Because we're talking about lives at stake here, first responder lives, civilian lives, people's property, houses, all this kind of stuff is on the line. And you would not want to be that individual who feel like, oh, I just want to get up and get a view of the fire from a distance or whatever. If you're, want to really be a cowboy and disable your system if it doesn't have geofencing like some other brands besides DJI, you're going to go fly to TFR, and then you end up stopping all the air support, which will enable the fire to continue until the skies is deemed clear. And these are the things that we have to worry about. Just like with the concert had to stop, rush the musicians off the stage until they deemed it was safe, until the security found out who the individual was, got him in custody or whatever, or tracked down where the drone came from, to where they felt it was safe to continue the concert if it did even continue. Same thing with the NFL games that are starting up again this year. Same thing with the playoffs last year. We don't hear the frontline news about the individual who got caught and what their sentences or fines are going to be. But each individual who flew into an NFL stadium last year has been identified and has been caught and has been, brought before a judge and all this kind of stuff. And, like I say, you really got to be ear to the ground to find out what kind of fines have been issued for these individuals. But once again, don't be that guy. That's what this is all about. For me, it wasn't worth putting lives at stake for me to go out here and do a $500 job. It wasn't worth it. Because I'm looking at the bigger picture. And that's what we all need to think about, is the bigger picture and not just me, myself, and I. Look at the bigger picture. Think about what you're doing and how it may impact others. And that's the key point, is what you do, how it impacts others. And even individuals say, well, I'm not going to fly that high. I'm only going to be treetop level and all these different things. I said, if you are picked up, if your device has remote ID, it would most likely get picked up. And no matter if you're flying 100 feet, 200 feet, or whatever the case may be, it can get picked up by devices from the tower, radar, whatever, pop up on somebody's screen, and then all operations have to cease until they deem that the skies are clear. It's not about you flying into their airspace, because their airspace is from 0 to whatever they want to be. That's why we have TFRs. But you got to think about, even en route to and from the TFR, you have emergency aircraft are going to fly at very low altitudes. And just like the situation we had in Florida a little over, I think it was a year ago, where the guy had authorization, he was doing a paid mission job, and had a collision with the helicopter. You know, what's going to happen is the drone pilot is going to be found at fault, because one of the number one rules as drone operator is that we must give the way to manned aircraft. And like myself, I do a lot of automated missions, so it takes a little bit longer for me to disengage the automated flight to really fully get control of the drone. Well, that little bit of 10, 15, up to 30 seconds could be just enough time for a collision to occur, or I may have to make a manned aircraft divert its flight path to go somewhere else. So basically, I'm interfering with what their operation is. It could be an aircraft going to an accident scene or something else that lives are at stake. So this is my whole thing tonight, is don't be that guy. Don't be the one who's selfish and feels that what they're doing is so much more important than what is going on around you. And this is why apps like Aloft, you can use Air Data or whatever else you use to check your airspace in advance, so you would be aware of what's going on in your area. Watch the news to see if anything's going on that you could be prepared for. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you don't fly, especially if you're outside the TFR, just like I flew and stuff, but you got to be mindful of what's going on in your area at all times. So again, we're going to go back, do a little sponsor again with Air Data, and we'll finish this up.
Last call is sponsored by Air Data, world's most trusted flight data platform. Use promo code Recovery1Drone20 for 20% discount on your subscription.
All right, we're back. So if you're nobody, it doesn't matter what part of the country that you may be in or whatever. I know people like Johnny Drone Flyer and Captain Joe down in Louisiana. A few of them boys down there just went through a hurricane and so forth. So even down there, you know there's big storms coming. Don't be in a hurry to throw that drone up thinking you're going to be your own little eye in the sky looking at the damage. Once again, you need to check with local authorities and make sure you're not interfering with other activities that are taking place in the area. That is just as crucial, because you're going to have helicopters conducting search and rescue operations for people. I always tell folks, if you want to get involved, go talk to the emergency response people and say, hey, I'm available. Do you need my assistance? They'll tell you yes or no. If they tell you no, go home and watch what's on the news. If they tell you yes, be prepared. You throw yourself out there, be ready to go, follow instructions, and be a service to your fellow citizens in your area. But I'm just saying that, just don't think about you. It's not about you. Like I said, we got to share the skies with all the different operations that are taking forth. And by saying, when you have a natural disaster or even a man-made disaster, don't think you have the absolute right to throw a drone up to get a different view or whatever the case may be. You need to, one, contact first responders or the emergency response individuals in charge to see if or they give you the authorization to fly your drone. Just don't think you take it for granted to put it up there, because what you do can impact the lives of others. And that's the whole key thing. So that's what I have for tonight, folks. Not going to tie anybody up. I think Uncle Bill's coming on later tonight, about a half an hour or so. So this is Dre, Recover One Drones. And like I said, don't be selfish. It's not about me, myself, and I. We have to share the skies. So as always, I say, hang on, enjoy the ride. Please subscribe if you feel this information I'm giving out is useful to you. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.
I wanna see you. All lights on you. All lights on. And can we keep the lights on?